Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Emotions. Today, we're going to talk about shame, the gifts of shame, the questions you can ask yourself when you're feeling ashamed of something that you did, obstructions to your shame, whether that's too much shame or too little shame, and how to channel your shame, like what you're doing when you're doing shame right. My name's Anshin Texter. I'm a DEI trainer and consultant, and I teach a series of courses at Empathy Academy called the Befriending Series, where I help you work with your emotions. And with me today, I have Heather Guyson. She is also a DEI trainer and consultant who teaches at Empathy Academy, and she has an acupuncture practice in BC, in Canada. So welcome, Heather. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm really excited to talk about shame.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be a great conversation.
So let's talk about the gifts of shame. Obviously, most people don't think of shame as having gifts, but when we're talking about the gifts of shame, we're really talking about shame in its soft sense. Yes, in its intense sense, it has great gifts for you as well, but those usually don't feel as good.
They have more potency.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the gifts and skills that come with listening to your shame.
Yeah, I remember the first time I read this list that I just looked at it and kind of went, "Oh, okay." And then it's like the slow back away of I'm not even sure like how, because of all of the different messaging out there about shame, but talking about integrity and behavioral change and self-respect and atonement, which are the gifts of shame. I was I was just so stunned that there would be anything good that would come from shame. And so this emotion has been for me like it's taken a really long time and a gentle approach to learning and figuring it out and looking at experiences with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like you said, there's such strong messaging around shame, shaming messaging around shame, where I remember growing up, and if I did something wrong, my first instinct was to pretend like I didn't,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Or like to pretend that I knew the answer if I didn't. Um,
Yeah.
my nickname in my household was the perfect child. So I had like all these, I felt like I had all these expectations on me to act a certain way.
Totally.
So anyway, we can get more into that when we're talking about
Hmm.
obstructions to shame.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when shame is working, when you're really listening to your shame, then you're able to listen to your sense of integrity, your sense of what's right and wrong. I like to think of it as your conscience,
Hmm.
right? Like those rules that you've set for yourself, like, oh, I'm going to live this way. I'm going to be respectful of these people and these things. And
Hmm.
this is what's important to me. And this is how I want to act to represent those values.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing that like living the integrity of that set of values, and it helps reconnect you to those values all the time. So for me, it's like a directional compass almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I don't have to follow a certain road, but these are the guidelines that will keep me in a space or a like position on any road that I'm okay with.
Yes. And with that,
Right?
when you're listening to your shame, then your contentment is just walking right alongside you saying, good job. I'm
Right?
so proud of you. I like you a lot.
Yeah. If you have access to your contentment, if you're able to take in praise, right? For your own ability. That's also a skill because for people I'm not really sure about this. This just popped into my head. But for people that struggle with shame, they may not be able to feel that contentment about themselves and what they do.
Right. They might have shaming messages about feeling good about.
Yeah, exactly. Because for me, when I'm in flow with my shame, I have this sense of like uprightness. And I think that's the integrity part and self respect of like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm very much standing tall as who I am,
Yeah.
which is a really special and empowering inside sense that nobody else has has permission to give or take away now.
Hmm. Yeah. And when you're really working with your shame, you're also really working with your anger. I mean,
Mhm.
there's I guess I think of it as like a pressure equalization between like what's inside you. Your shame is really directing your internal
Mm.
behavior. And then it's your anger that's really directing your interactions with other people and how you conduct those.
Oh, I love that. And I once I figured out how to get rid of like other people's voices telling me how I should live and be and do in the world. That anger now is the like the protector on the outside of, oh, somebody, like that just tried to get into like the inside space.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it out. And that partnership anger is essential in order to protect and for me like keep sacred that space where I get to decide and shape and change over time my values and beliefs.
That's such a great way of putting it. Yeah, your anger creates that boundary and
Mhm.
defines that space that you get to keep sacred. Beautiful
Mhm.
words. Thank you.
Right, like yay shame.
I know. I feel like I could have a party for shame.
Right, yeah, I just
In short,
it's
shame
such,
has
yeah.
changed my life.
Yeah, and like when you
Okay.
look at its function, it's restoring integrity. And that for me is like, oh, that makes the whole organism, body, mind, health, spirit, communicate and talk to each other.
Right. And isn't it so nice to live within your integrity and to have a method to come back into alignment with that? I mean, it's funny. I
Yeah.
think about integrity and alignment is almost the same thing
Mhm.
in the
I
sense
agree.
of it's like a togetherness or a wholeness, right?
Mhm.
And integrity also has the meaning of looking at the integrity of a piece or
Yeah.
of the wholeness of an object, right?
Mhm.
You know that a rusty old truck doesn't have much integrity anymore because it's probably not going to last long.
Right, like when you can see through the holes in the door and you're like, "Oh, the water's gonna come on in there," right? Like that container does not have integrity.
Right. And so your shame is really helping you like shore up those holes. Like, wait a second, we need a whole new truck here.
Right? Like to point you in the direction of, "Hey, there's a weakness. You're about to go over the distinctive line of being out of integrity with yourself." There's that warning system. And whether or not you experience it as like a gentle yellow light or you've crossed the boundary and then it's screaming loud at you. Obviously, shame can show up in different levels of intensity. Um, and how often do we just plow right through them because we didn't want to feel shame, right? Because we couldn't stop and receive the message or access the questions.
I wanted to pause video here and go a little bit more into the questions for shame. The first question you can ask yourself for shame when you're noticing shame is who or what has been hurt? And that can be you. Maybe you've done something that's hurt you, or maybe it's been somebody else. Maybe you've damaged a relationship by not telling the truth or by telling the truth. So the first question is who or what has been hurt? The second question is what must be made right? Essentially, you're asking what action can I take to fix this, to make amends? Do I need to apologize or perhaps take a bigger action to show this person or this situation that I made a mistake or that I did the wrong thing and now I need to fix it? When you're working with your shame, when you're in conversation with your shame, then you are asking yourself these questions regularly. You're in touch with the soft side of your shame, that little sense of I'm not quite within my lane right now. Where is this discomfort coming from? And how do I need to attend to it? And really, those are the questions for shame. Who or what has been hurt? Where is this discomfort? What must be made right? How can I attend to it? How can I make amends? You are just finding the right way for you in the right road, right lane for you. And these questions are designed to help you do that.